Apadam dataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam Sriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. So, welcome to a 17th session. So we are not far away from the end line. After this, I think it will be 7 more sessions are left after this. So 7,000 more shlokas and we will be done with Ramayana. So this is almost like the business end of Ramayana. So previously in the session, we had discussed about Hanūmān's successful mission. It was concluded, and it was concluded with a very memorable hug that he got from Rama. Yesha sarvasva bhutone parishpango Hanūmataha. And from there onwards, they all decided that they should head towards the south and they should go and meet Ravana on the battlefield and win Sita back. So they had no doubt about this fact. I mean, they all wanted to do this. They were all very supportive of this thing. Meanwhile, the story shifts from Kishkindha, the nearabouts of Kishkindha to Lanka, where Ravana has been planning. All of a sudden, he has remembered all the lessons that he had learned when he was a student of Arthashastra. So it was several years ago. So it is always told that mantra moolam hi vijayaha. All triumph comes down to counsel. Without counsel meeting, there is no, or without counsel of learned men, one cannot, a leader, a king cannot ensure the success, ensure the victory. So he knows that. I mean, theoretically, he sounds very learned. It's like, many people might not like me for giving this analogy, but he is much more like a sophisticated and elevated version of Bhagavad Gita's first chapter, Arjuna. Prajnavadanscha bhashase. So he is not Prajnavan. He is an idiot fellow. Ravana, not Arjuna, Ravana. But he speaks like a scholar. But the fact is, he remembers several things that were taught to him by scholars. Therefore, he knows so many things. That doesn't tell us that he was a learned man. See, there is a difference between being a learned man and speaking like a learned man. Maricha, Ravana, these people fall in the second category because they are not themselves scholars, but they do know how to imitate scholars. They know how exactly to speak like scholars, and they do. And this is the point where people get distracted. This is where people think that they were very good scholars. They were not scholars. They were not learned men. They only knew how to imitate them. So he gave a detailed description of various types of counsel and how one should take any kind of decision and all. And once he tabled all these things, once he said all these things in the Sabha, his ministers, each and everyone started to give their inputs, their opinions, their suggestions. And all of them in one voice, except Vibhishana, every single one of them who were present in Ravana's court at that day, they said that, is it Ravana who is saying all these things? Are you really afraid of a human being like Rama? You are the one who has destroyed the Swarga, Amaravati, several times. You are the one who has installed fear and terror in the hearts of Devatas. There is no kingdom in this entire Chaturdasha Bhuvanam, in the entire realm, there is no kingdom that could stand up against you. And you have an able successor in the form of Indrajit. His name is Indrajit. See, the names usually denote what we truly are. So that's how naming ceremony used to happen back then. But not now. Nowadays, people look into Google to search for some fancy name. It's not about finding a fancy name for a child. It's about understanding the attributes or the way that child is going to develop in future. Depending upon that, a name should be kept. And he was basically called as Meghanada, not Indrajit. Indrajit is kind of a title conferred upon him after he defeated Indra. After he became invincible, even the great mighty Indra could not defeat him on the battlefield. That's when he became Indrajit. Before that, he was called as Meghanada. Why was he called as Meghanada? That Meghanada, the word Meghanada itself shows that he is truly the son of Ravana. Ravana was called as Ravana because when he was born, he cried so loud that the entire universe, for a minute, it felt tremors of his cry, of his shouting. That's why he was called as Ravana. And obviously, the son of Ravana needs to have something similar with, it has got something to do with sound. Therefore, Meghanada. He who has a thunderous voice like clouds. That's why he was called as Meghanada. And he was invincible. He had gained Brahmastram, Brahmashirostram from Brahma himself. And he had also taken a boon from Brahma that he shall not be defeated on battlefield if he happens to perform a yajnam. See, again, the key is Agni. With the power of Agni, if he manages to get through that yajnam, then nobody can defeat him. And when you have the ministers, all the counselors of Ravana, they just reminded Ravana that you are very powerful. You have yourself, and then you have Meghanada, your son. And if you two are not sufficient, you have a brother. Don't forget about Kumbhakarna. And then you have an army of people like us. You don't have to worry. So when their family was discussed, then Prahasta, Durmukha, Vajradamshtra, Nikumbha, and Vajrahanu, these 5 ministers as well as commander-in-chiefs, they started installing confidence in Ravana that you don't even have to pick up a weapon, my dear king. Why? Because we are here to take care of everything. We alone are sufficient. And each and every person said that I alone am sufficient to kill Rama and his army of monkeys, because they were meaning disrespect to the army of monkeys. That's all. They were not speaking practically. They had not considered the fact that had actually happened right in front of their eyes. Their entire city was burned down by one monkey, and an army of them was approaching them. And still, this is not confidence. This is idiocy. This is stupidity. See, when you are surrounded by such kind of people, and I mean, nowadays, what has happened is people tell you that you must surround yourself with positive people. Yeah, great. You must surround yourself with positive people. But the definition of positive people is not the kind of words that Prahasta, Durmukha, etc. were telling Ravana. When there is an imminent danger, when you are absolutely outranked, outwitted, outstrengthed, outnumbered, you don't pick a fight with them. And who is going to tell this to the person? And nobody tells this, because if you discourage anybody these days, you will be considered as a pessimist or a negative vibe kind of person. But that's not the thing. We have to understand the situation. We have to read the situation, understand the situation, and none of them were qualified. And this justifies what Valmiki usually made Sita, Maricha, all these people speak to Ravana before. They all kept on asking only one question to Ravana. Are there any ministers, are there any counselors who advise you to stay on the righteous path in your kingdom? Or even if there are certain people like that, do you listen to them or do you not? Why do you think this kind of an idea or this kind of a statement is usually made, or this kind of a word, these kind of words are uttered to Ravana? It is only to denote, it is only to and ensure that Ravana was misguided. A king is known by the counselors that he keeps, like like how they say that a man is known by the company he keeps. Likewise, I'm not sure whether this is applicable to human beings, common men, but for kings it is absolutely applicable, because a king is known by the counselors that he has, by the kind of people he surrounds himself with, who is giving them advice. And all of them, they said all these things. Now Ravana, he felt that mithyabhimana. This is the reason why I gave that comparison with Arjuna Vishada Yoga's Arjuna, not the Mahabharata's Arjuna, only the Gita's first chapter's Arjuna. He was overcome by Shoka and Moha in Gita, Arjuna. Here, he was overcome by stupidity and false confidence. But there was one person who could still see the truth, and who still had the courage to speak the truth. And he was not simply being politically correct. He was not just swimming with the flow. He just did not want to be one amongst them. Why would we want to oppose the king? No. There was a man who stood for dharma. Who was it? Vibhishana. Vibhishanastu dharmatma naturakshasa cheshtitah. And he begins. He says that paresham sahasavagnya nakartavya kathanchana. There is a beautiful line before this. He says that balanya parimeyani. See, the best thing about strength is, in this world, you cannot put a certain quality or certain gap or certain cap, not gap, sorry, a certain cap on courage of creatures. Any creature can be powerful on a given day, on any given day. So we must consider this while we are discussing, while we are hovering over this topic. We should keep this in mind, that balani aparimeyani. Parimeya means that we can judge, that we can understand, comprehend. But the strength, the entire subject of strength is incomprehensible, because we cannot comprehend that. We cannot understand the entirety of strength. First point made by Vibhishana. And then Viryanicha Nishacharaha. He addresses to the entire court. He addresses not only Ravana, but also his ministers as well. And he says that, see, even though the ministers are true in one fact, what is that? They have stated the fact, Lanka is invincible by 3 upayas. I mean, nobody can come here and have a negotiation. Nobody can do that, because they have to cross an ocean, and then there is Durga for Lanka. I mean, ocean itself is a natural fort for Lanka. And if somebody crosses the ocean, then there is another man-made fort as well. So this is not possible for any common creatures. But we have to consider the fact that there was one monkey who crossed the ocean, broke our defenses, entered into Lanka, and run havoc across Lanka. He burned down an entire city. So what does it show? It shows that it is possible for some creature. So we must consider this as a fact, because it has been proven. It's right in front of our eyes. We were all witnesses for that. And if this is the case, then how can we consider that they are a bunch of mavericks? That's what his ministers told Ravana. Rama and his band of monkeys are a bunch of mavericks. You don't have to worry about them. They are monkeys. What can they do? That's how they demeaned the enemy. Now, he's not praising the enemy, Vibhishana. We have to be very critical of the way Vibhishana proposes his words. And because that's a huge lesson in diplomacy, or speaking the truth. How to be diplomatic and yet be truthful to your boss or to your superior. We have never seen their army, first and foremost. So before you engage yourself with your enemy, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is understand their strengths and weaknesses. You have never witnessed them. We have never seen an army of monkeys. So we don't know them properly. Before this, tell me honestly, was there anybody who had crossed the ocean like Hanūmān did? Nobody did this work before. And also, paresham sahasa vajna nakartavya kathanchana. Never ever should you underestimate any person. No person should ever be underestimated. That's the golden rule. That's the first thing that everybody should learn. You don't need Justin Langer to tell this. Never ever underestimate Indians. You don't need an former Australian cricket coach to say this. All you need to do is read Vibhishana, you will understand. Paresham sahasa vajna nakartavya kathanchana. And there is one more instance that needs to be reminded to Ravana. You do remember your cousins, Khara, Dushana, and Trishiras. And all three of them, along with their army, a band of 14,000 men, they were killed by Rama single-handedly. If one man can finish off such great warriors and their army, can you imagine what kind of a person you are dealing with? And much more than this, this is point number 2 that Vibhishana mentions. Third point is, avashyam praninam prana rakshitavya yathabalam. We must always put the lives of our subjects as top priority, not winning war. This is how you strategize for war. See, Rama and his army, they did not have to worry about all these things because they were on the front foot. But when you are defending, you are already on back foot. So you have to take care of your people. You have to put the welfare of your people first. If we go through this war, will it hurt our people? Will it hurt my subjects? Will it harm my subjects? If yes, then don't go with the war. The best example is, not Russia and Ukraine. The best example is Krishna, when he was attacked for the 18th time by Jarasandha. The previous 17 times, he thoroughly defeated Jarasandha. The history won't tell you. But the only thing that people tell you is, even the great Lord Krishna, he ran away from battlefield. That's why there is some Bhagavan of, some word is used in, I think, in some parts of Rajasthan and all. Ranchod Krishna or something like that. They use this. I'm not much familiar with that, but they only highlight this part. But they forget that 17 times he defeated Jarasandha. And what was the reason for Krishna to leave the battlefield, escape on the 18th time? Because he was not attacked by Jarasandha alone. There was Narakasura as well who attacked him, both at the same time from 2 different directions. If you remember, there are 14 Rajadoshas that were listed by Rama to Bharata in Ayodhya Kandam during that conversation. And in that he mentions amongst 14 doshas, the last dosha is called as Pratyuthana. It's a technical term. The meaning of the word Pratyuthana is never engage with more than one enemy at the same time, because it puts the lives of people in danger. And you must consider that. Because first and foremost, we should be afraid of creatures like Hanūmān. He's mentioning the same word, creatures like Hanūmān, because we don't know what creatures are, how powerful and all. Okay. Secondly, do I have to remind you that one man killed 14,000 men alone? So when these 2 forces are combined, they may attack us from 2 different sides, and it is not wise to engage with both of them at the same time. We must put the welfare of our people as top priority. So what should we do? Pradiyatam Daśarathaya Maithili. Diyatam Maithili Diyatam. Return Sita to Rama. Don't keep her with you. Return her. before Rama burns down this entire city, before this Lanka is diminished along with its people, give Sita back to Rama. Hitam tatyam twaham brumi. I'm speaking for your welfare. I'm speaking for your sake. Okay. And he also said that prasadaye tvam bandhutvat. I'm begging you, my dear brother, because you are my brother. And that's why I'm appeasing you. I'm appealing to you. Please don't do this. Diyatamasya manthi. Kurushva vachanam mama. For once, please listen to my words. Give Sita back to Ram. And this was a meeting. So any opinions and suggestions were open. So Ravana heard Vibhishana's words. No decisions were made at this sabha. At this meeting, no decisions were taken. Ravana heard the suggestions. He planted, he tabled a motion, and there was discussions. There were discussions on that motion. And then he heard everyone, decision pending, meeting adjourned. Now, Vibhishana understood what Ravana is and how Ravana's mind works. So he went to perform his daily routine, Ravana. And he went to see Ravana in private. Vibhishana went to see Ravana in private. And then he begins, Yada prabhrati vaidehi samprapta iha parantapa. Ever since Vaidehi, that is Sita, ever since Sita has stepped her foot, has stepped here in Lanka, what has happening in Lanka? Do you have any idea what is happening in Lanka, in our entire kingdom? And this is not just about the capital city. I'm not talking about the capital city. What has been happening across the kingdom of Lanka? He says that Sasphulingaha, Sadhumarchihi, Sadhuma Kalushodaya. Agni is not burning properly. It's filled with smoke. And it is hurting the eyes of people who worship Agni. I mean, come on, is this a joke? No, it is not a joke. It doesn't matter what kind of kashtha you use, what kind of logs do you use, whether it is wet or dry, it doesn't matter. If anybody thinks that Agni fire burns heavily just because we found the best dry wooden logs, there are no fools than us, because Agni doesn't burn because of the wooden logs, dry wooden logs. Then what makes Agni samidham, well ignited? What makes Agni well ignited? He says that mantra sandhukshitaha. It's the mantras that we utter that makes the Agni ignited. It makes the Agni more powerful. Agni mukhavai devaha. This is the reason why when you are in front of Agni, you are not supposed to hold back and do japam. It is not japam when you are in front of Agni. You have to utter the mantra boldly. Why? Because it is your mantra that increases the ignition of Agni. And what has happened ever since Sita has stepped in Lanka? Mantra sandhukshitopya Agni. Even when the Brahmanas have been, Ritviks have been chanting mantras, nasamyak abhivardhate. It says that it is not igniting. They have tried everything. It is not igniting. It shows that there is a mistake. Unfortunately, this science is gone now. Entirely gone. See, we have remainings of this science. For example, we use it in Jyotisham, especially in Ashtamangala Prashna and all, we use it. Deepam. We light the deepa, and however it is lightened, the way we light the deepa, from which direction to which direction, and how many varti and our bhatti, how many wicks do we place, what kind of oil do we use, what kind of color is the light, and all these things matter. And we still use this as one of the important denominators in Jyotisha, because it reveals everything about a person's family. The way they light a lamp, it is the younger brother of Agni, the science of Agni. which is lost. The elder brother is lost, but the younger brother still remains. I mean, he's on he's in ICU. Nobody knows this. As artificial lights have replaced. Nobody lights a lamp in Puja Graham anymore. Just turn on the switch. What can I say about all these things? Okay. And then Gavam Bayamsis Kannani. Cattle are not giving milk. Okay. It's a sign. It is a sign that something bad is going to happen in the nation. And then Vimada Varakunjaraha. Varakunjaraha, I mean, royal elephants. Elephant mane madam. If there is any one animal that can be correlated with mada, that is elephant. And a royal elephant should always be in mada. And you must have heard several stories, especially related to Mysore Daśaratha. Yeah. The chief elephant, Arjuna, Abhimanyu, they did that mischief, this mischief. They should do. That is a good sign. They are elephants. They are royal elephants. They are supposed to be in mada. But what has happened? And that shows how many royal elephants are in mada. That shows the strength of a king's army. See, back in those days, the strength of an army was determined by the elephants. The strength of an elephant. And he says that Vimada Varakunjaraha. None of the elephants are getting that mada anymore. Oh, it's a huge sign. And then Dīnamashvah Praheshante. The horses, they make a very sad sound. See, the way we need to observe the nature in and around us. This is how you understand nature, the relation between man and nature. And they are not eating their food. Kharoshtrashvatara rajan bhinnaroma sravanticha nasvabhaveva tishtante vidhanairapi chintitaha. No matter how much ever we are trying to keep them on track, they are not being able to achieve any success in this regard. Not only this, this is a positive thing turned into negative. And there are outright negative things that are happening in Lanka as well, ever since Sita stepped in. Vayasa sanghasha krura vyaharanti samantataha. Crows have been making sound relentlessly, hovering over our kingdom ever since Sita stepped in. Just imagine how cruel Lanka must have been. All of these things are happening. And Gridrashcha Pariliyante, Puri Mupari Panditaha. And like this, there is one more thing. Sarisrapani Drishyante. You can see snakes everywhere and anywhere. It's a sign. And Havyeshuja Pipilikaha. If you have prepared anything for the sake of homam, for the sake of yajnam, and if Pipilikaha, ants, if they get to that, it is a wrong sign, it is a bad sign. This is Valmiki at his brutal best. Okay. Ayam hi dosha sarvasya janasyasya upalakshyate. This is a severe dosha that I am narrating you. Now, one may question the genius of Vibhishana. Why did he not say all these things in the Sabha itself, in the court itself? Because these are not the things that you discuss in public, in front of everyone, because it paints a very bad picture of your country. Because your country is hurting. It is going through a very bad phase, and you don't publicize it. I mean, you don't create that fear in the minds of people. Therefore, he went to see Ravana in private, and he narrated all these documents, all these observations to Ravana. And then he says that, see, you are a learned one. I don't have to tell you anymore. So this is what has been happening across Lanka. Take a wise decision. So please give back Sita to Rama. Day 2, he calls back his council, Ravana. I know this may seem that we are elaborating on something that is not very as interesting as it used to be. But this is very much a vital part of the story, because we need to understand the contrast between two leaders, Rama and Ravana. How not to be Ravana. If I don't put much pressure or much focus on Ravana, then you will never understand na Ravana adivadvartitavyam. You should not be like Ravana at all. Even in your dreams, even in your swapnam, even in your wildest dreams, you should never be able to sympathize with a fellow who was as idiot as Ravana. It's all about narration. Valmiki has done a fantastic job. I'm only trying to replicate it, which is not possible, but still. Pandita Raja, he says, there's a beautiful line. He says that, when the clouds thunder, Nataraja dances. Nrityati Pinakapana. Pinakapani is Mahadeva, Nataraja. When Nataraja dances, even the Bhutaganaha, Nrityanti Anyapi Bhuta Vetalaha. I am like that Bhuta Vetala. And Valmiki is that Pinakapani. He has already danced. This is a divine dance. Now, when Nataraja does a dance, it is divine dance. And then there are dancers who dance. They think that you are always Bhuta Vetala. He makes a very beautiful comment. So that's how it is. Even Kalidasa uses this in Meghadutam. He says that when you move over that Alakapuri, when you are approaching Alakapuri near Himalayas, you can find a special species. They are called as Sharabhas. They have 8 legs. They are all as tall as elephants and as thin and as quick as lions. And they don't appreciate when you thunder, because they think that they are the supreme ones. So they want to jump at you. So make thunderous sounds. Not only that, rain at them. Kalidasa says. That's how some people are. So you don't have to worry about them. You are more powerful. So Nrityate Pinakapana, Valmiki is Pinakapani. He has already danced a divine dance in the name of Ramayana. I'm only trying to replicate, because the Bhutaganas of Mahadeva, they enjoy looking at their master dancing. That's how it is. But we need to understand that why Valmiki has focused so much on the wrong side of Ravana. Because that's an example of how not to be a leader or how not to lead a life. My life, my rules, absolutely pathetic. There is no such thing called as my life, my rules. Unless you are a yogi, unless you have understood what life is, unless we have understood how the truth manifests itself into this nature. Otherwise, we have to follow. Okay, anyway, moving on. So again, all of them came to the second day of meeting. This time, Ravana had taken a decision. So what he does is, he classifies all his entire army, whatever is left, whatever was left of his army, he classifies them and he sends them to 4 different directions of his kingdom to protect the kingdom. From all across the directions, on all 4 gates, he says that you should protect at all costs. So that is done. Appointment of all these people are done. And then in front of everybody in that sabha, in that court, Ravana shamelessly expresses his desire, or not even desire, his lust for Sita, which is a wrong thing to do, given the fact that he is a king. And a king is not supposed to speak these kind of words in front of a sabha, because this is how the word asabhya came into force. I mean, in Kannada, we use the word asabhya. There are 2 words, asahya and asabhya. Asahya is that which cannot be tolerated, is called as asahya. Asabhya is those things that must not be uttered in a sabha, in front of a group of people. Ravana did. At this moment, Kumbhakarna began to speak. He was outraged at Ravana's decision making. He had no clue whatsoever what Ravana has committed. Ravana told this in front of everyone ever since I saw Sita, etc., whatever it was. And he said that I was taken aback by her beauty. Therefore, I took this decision on my own. He admitted. Isn't this a good thing? It might be a good thing, but it is too little and too late for Ravana. And I want all of you to observe one more thing. Why was Ravana forced to admit that he did take the decision all alone? That's the power of the system. Hey, people tell so many things about the system, right? The system is wrong, the system is that, this is system. Where even the mighty Ravana had to admit in front of his own counselors, in front of his ministers, in front of everybody in an open court, that he took the decision of kidnapping Sita all alone. That's the power of system. That's the kind of system that was in place in our country. Everyone is accountable. Ravana is also accountable for this. And when a king is accountable, there are only few people who can thrash a king like Kumbhakarna did. You will be again introduced to the third example of people who imitate scholars, who speak like scholars. Welcome to the world of Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna prachukrodha vachanam chayadam abravit. He got very angry, he got very enraged. He says that, what is the use of building a bridge when the water has already broke into our field? You are supposed to construct something in order to avoid the water getting into our field. The water is already in our doorsteps, on our doorsteps. What is the use of constructing a bridge now? Okay. Bhajeta chittam yamuneva yamunam. That's the example he gives. He says that everything that you have done is shameful, is utterly idiotic. Nyayena rajakaryani yakkaroti dashanana. Okay. The word dashanana is sarcastic. You have 10 faces. And still you could not think properly once. 10 heads, and still you could not think once properly. And yaf paschat purvakaryani karmanyabhichikirshati. He who thinks about the works that were previously done and then regrets whatever it was done, he is a fool, and you are a fool of highest standard. But this is only up until this part is Kumbhakarna's wisdom. If you read only this selected part of Kumbhakarna's words, it seems as if he was the most learned fellow. But look at this. Dishtyaatvam navadhi dramo Viśvāmitra. You are lucky to be alive that you did not fall in front of Rama's eyes. If you had fallen in front of his eyes, he would have killed you then and there, because you have committed such a mistake, such a terrible mistake. And you know that this is a junction. And from here, it could have taken a twist. It could have taken a major turn towards Vibhishana's paksha, the way Vibhishana tabled his opinion. He also mentioned all these things in a very subtle way. And then he said that Pradiyatan Daśarathaya Maithili. Look at the difference between two brothers now. But what did Kumbhakarna tell Ravana? Aham samikarishyami hatva shatrus tavanagha. Do not worry. I will kill all your enemies. I will make this wrong right. Whatever mistake you have committed, I shall make it right by killing your enemies. False hope again. So when you put this line and then weigh the previous words, that's when we understand the true caliber, true nature of Kumbhakarna. Why I am stressing more on these things is we find the world is filled with people like Maricha and Kumbhakarna these days. They speak so highly, they speak so wisely. We are easily fooled by their words, but their actions do not match with the words that they speak. And if their actions is not in synchronization with their words, then they are lying, they are misguiding. like Kumbhakarna did. So he got more excited, Ravana. But there was one more person who was yet to give Ravana the most ridiculous ideas. His name was Mahaparshva, a minister of Ravana. He says that Ishvarasya Ishvarah kaha asti tava shatru nibarhana. You are the God of gods. Ishvarasya Ishvarah. Okay. You can do anything you want. Why don't you force yourself on Sita? Get it over, get it done with. This is the kind of advice that was given to Ravana by his minister. So, iha praptan vayam sarvan shatrunstava mahavala. So if anybody crosses the ocean and comes here, we are here to take care of them. Why do you worry? You enjoy. We are here to take care of that. And this is when Ravana is reminded all of a sudden of a previous curse that was placed on him. He says that Eva muktastada raja mahaparshvena ravana tasya sampujayan vakyam idam vacharam abroid. What did he say? Mahaparshva nibodhatvam. Mahaparshva, listen to me very carefully. This is not an option. Although I like this idea, but this is not an option. That's the intended meaning of Ravana. Several years ago, I had been to Brahmalokam to visit my great-grandfather, Pitamaha Brahma. Chaturmukha Brahma happens to be his great-grandfather. What an idiot fellow. So I went to visit him one day. There, I saw an apsara named as Punjika Sthala. You can find the name of Punjika Sthala in Vedas. Punjika Sthala cha Krita Sthala. Krita Sthala and Punjika Sthala were sister apsaras. And Ravana saw Punjika Sthala. And he bhukta. I mean, how do I put it in a subtle way? You know, he forced himself upon her, and that was happened. And he went afterwards. He went to Pitamaha Bhavanam. That is, he went to Brahmaloka. So Brahma understood that he has done this, which is wrong. Consent, the idea of consent that is going on these days, it was existent before as well. There is a famous line from Kama Shastram, which says that you don't have to wonder that how do I know all these things, because I teach Sahitya as well. My major area is Sahitya as well. Sahitya involves all these other Shastras. So there is a beautiful line in Kama Shastra that makes the boundary, that sets the boundary for this physical intimacy between man and a woman. Purvam rakta bhaven nari, paschat puman. See, there are two words, raga and anuraga. The best kind of anuraga is, the first raga should be expressed by woman. Purvam rakta bhaven nari. Until and unless a woman expresses her ichha, her desire, a man must not force himself upon her. So this includes all the marital rape laws, etc., etc., whatever discussion is going on. One simple line, common sense. Purvam rakta bhaven nari, paschat puman. It's a simple rule. And Brahma is Brahma. He understood just by looking at Ravana. You have committed a sin. You have committed a mistake. Tell me honestly, what did you do? Now, Ravana told him. He said that Atha Sankupito Vedha. He got very angry, Brahma. And he said that Adya Prabhriti, starting from today, if you yam anyam balan narim gamishyasi tadate shatadha murdha phalishyati na samshaya. If you ever force yourself again on any woman, starting from this day till the end of your day, your head will blow into 100 pieces then and there. This is the reason why Ravana restrained himself from forcing on Sita. Not because he had self-control, as Ravana sympathizers tell you. He only kidnapped her. He used her as a political gambit. No, he did not. He was afraid, because this is the backstory. This is the story. Ityaham tasya shapasya bhitaha. He says that I am very scared of Pitamaha's shapa. Why? Because it is the same Pitamaha who has given me the boon of 10 heads and immense strength. And if all of that has turned true, if all of that has come true, then absolutely his curse will also come true. So this is the reason why I'm restraining myself from forcing upon Sita. Day 2, the same thing repeats. Vibhishana begins to speak. It's a beautiful narration where he says that he explains Ravana the strength of Rama. He delivers a message that will not enrage Ravana, but it will also let Ravana know what is the true strength of Rama. He makes a beautiful case, and it is at this time that Indrajit starts to speak. Indrajit starts to speak. What does Indrajit say? See, he is still a child. When two elders are speaking, a child is not supposed to talk in between them. That's one of the that is one of the golden lessons that was taught to us when we were growing up. When elders are speaking, you should not speak. And Vibhishana was not yet finished. Dadatu Maithilim, Narendra Putraya Dadatu Maithilim, Pradiyatan Daśarathaya Maithili. He makes a lengthy case. And then he says that Kinnamate Tata Kanishtavakyam Anarthakam Vai Bahubhitavaccha. Indrajit says, Kanishthatata. Kanishthatata means Chikkappa in Kannada. I don't know how to say it in English. I hope you understood. And I don't know what could possibly be the word in English for Chikkappa. He says that, why are you speaking like this? You sound to be very afraid of Rama. Do you not believe in us? Or do you have a deal in place with them? Are you secretly in any sort of arrangement with them already? Are you in bed with them? Why are you so afraid? Why do you sound so scared of them? Who are they? They are merely two brothers, two human beings, nothing else. We don't have to worry about them. And the army of monkey that you are being saying that this, I just imprisoned that monkey. And I can repeat it. When you have a warrior like me, why do you have to worry? And I'm very sure that you are insulting Ravana, my father, and all the warriors that are seated here, including me, by praising Rama's valor. By praising Rama's courage, you are actually insulting us. So the fire was already ignited between Indrajit and Vibhishana. Now Ravana should have taken the right path, should have taken the right decision at this moment, but he did not. He supported his son. Vaset saha sapatnena kruddhenashi vishenacha natu mitra pravadena samvaset chatru sevin. You can live under the same roof with a vicious snake, but never ever live with such people who act as friends, but will always cut your throat at the right opportunity. So he's insulting Vibhishana. See how the tables have turned against Dharmatma. And these are some of the words that when spoken without the context, it seems absolutely true, because all of us would have faced the same thing from one of our relatives. That's how we connect. The coming words, the forthcoming words, when I say this, if you do not know the context, then we will all nod our head in agreement with whatever Ravana is speaking. Janami Shailam Jnatinam. I know what these relatives are capable of. Hrisyanti Vyasaneshvete. when we are under stress, when we are under trouble, when we are facing trouble, they are happy. And pradhanam, sadhakam, vaidyam, dharmashilam charakshasa, jnatayopyavamanyante, shuram paribhavanti cha. And they can go to any extent. The relatives, they can insult anybody. They can insult even the commander-in-chief of an army. They can insult a life-saving doctor. They can insult a righteous person. That's how cruel relatives are. Nityam anyonya samhrishtaha. They are always happy amongst each other when someone else fails. Prachanna hridayaha. They have something in their heart and speak something else. They speak sweetly, but they have poison in their heart. And then he narrates his story. Nagnihi nanyani shastrani nanah pasha bhayavaha. There was once upon a time a group of elephants were having a conversation amongst themselves. So they said that Pashahastan Narandrashpa. There were certain people who were holding some ropes in their hand, pashas. By looking at them, the elephants began to speak amongst each other. They said that it's not fire, it's not weapons, it's not even our ropes. But what is the most dangerous thing in this world? Ghoraha swartha prayuktaha jnatayaha no bhayavaha. It is our relatives who are selfish and cruel. They are the most dangerous people. And he says that Vidyate Goshu Sampannam, one of the iconic lines ever spoken in Ramayana, which is absolutely true. Vidyate Goshu Sampannam. The Lakshmi, wealth resides in the cattle, nowhere else. If you have money, if you have extra money, and if you want to invest in something, invest in animal husbandry. Okay. No, I'm just joking, just to ease out the tension that is there. Vidyate Goshu Sampannam. Vidyate Jnatito Bhayam. There is always a scare from our relatives. Never ever trust them. Okay. So 2 iconic lines. Welcome to the third one. And this is where I'm very scared to utter this line, but this is the truth. Vidyate Strishu Chapalyam. Women are very chanchalam, which means that they are very fickle-minded. Fickleness always comes with women. And Vidyate Brahmane Tapaha, another controversial line. So he who is a Brahmajnani, tapasya always stays with him. You cannot take away these things from these people. You cannot take away wealth from cattle. You cannot take away the idea of fear or terror from relatives. You cannot take away that fickle-mindedness from women. You cannot take away tapasya from a Brahmajnani. So you are insulting me. So asmin muhurte nabhavetvan dhik kulapamsana. See, I have not killed you at this moment because you are my brother. If it was anybody else who had spoken these words to me at this moment, I would have chopped their head off. And you have the courage, you have the audacity to speak such words to your brother and your king. How dare you speak these words to me? How dare you insult me in front of my court? Fine. Abravitcha tadavakyam jatakrodho vibhishana. Even Vibhishana got angry at that time. He could not stay for long because he was insulted. And he was insulted for no reason. See, Ravana was not insulted. He pleaded to Ravana. Indrajit had no part to take in this regard. Because Vibhishana was addressing Ravana. If anybody had to enter and speak, it was Ravana's turn to answer, not Indrajit. And Indrajit forcefully entered in between them and he spoke. This is what happens when when two people are involved in a conversation. It breaks the entire decorum, and it did. And Ravana should have been wise enough to understand from what point of view Vibhishana was speaking. He was only concerned about his brother and his kingdom and the welfare of people. Ravana failed to do that. In return, he insulted Vibhishana. So he says that Satvam Bhrantosi me Rajan Bruhimam Yadyadichasi. I think you have lost it. You have turned insane. Okay, so whatever you want to speak, say it. I don't care. I don't mind. Okay. Because Jyeshtho Manyaha Pitrasamaha Nacha Dharma Pathe Sthitaha. The only problem is you're not on the path of Dharma. Apart from that, you still are my elder. You still are equal to my father. Jyeshtho Bharata Pitrasamaha. And you are Manyaha because you are the king. So you have all the rights in this world to abuse me. Hurl abuses at me at your will. Kintu idam hi parusham vakyam nakshamam yagrajasyate. But I can't take this. I can't take one thing. What is that? I had no intention of insulting you in front of the councillors. My only intention was to stop you from committing a grave mistake. And you did not understand my intention. And then he makes the same exact line that Maricha had told, if you remember. Sulabha Purusharajan Satatam Priyavadinah. People who speak sweetly all the time to you are very easy to find in this world. Right? Apriyasya pathyasya. The things that you don't want to hear, but the things that you need to hear. The words that carry this kind of things, which is needed by you, but which is not liked by you. And there are only few people who utter these words. Apriyasya patyasya. Vakta api durlabha, shrota api durlabha. The people who speak these kind of words are rare, and the people who listen to these kind of words are rare. I think your time has come. Okay. So that's why you are making vinashakale viparita buddhi. That's why you are acting like this. So tan marshayatu yachoktam. And this is Vibhishana. If anybody ever points finger at Vibhishana and asks questions like, why did he not try his level best to stick with his brother if he was so dharmatma and all those things? No, that's again one of the major issues that we face in Ramayana. If he was so much into dharma, Vibhishana, why did he abandon his brother? Because Ravana never cared for him, and Ravana did not heed to him, and in return he insulted him for his advice. He was one of the council members. Remember that. The reason for Vibhishana to leave Ravana was not because he was a cruel brother. Do not bring in the family angle here. This is the point I wanted to clarify. That's why this lengthy story, even if it is boring, I don't mind. This much of information is required because people always bring in this family angle and criticize Vibhishana for leaving Ravana at the time of crisis. He was merely not his brother. He was one of Ravana's council members. And it is clearly stated that when a council member is insulted and his counsel, his advice is not taken into consideration, and only because he is insulted based on the suggestions that he gives, he must not stay there to serve the king anymore. It was a political decision, not a personal decision. That's why he says that Jyeshtho Manyah Pitrasamaha. All these things are agreed, but Nacha Dharma Pathe Sthitaha. You are not on the righteous path, and you don't have the right to tell me all these things. Because he said all these things, isn't it? He called him Anarya. That was the highest level of abuse back in those days. If you called anybody Anarya, it means that, that's the limit of abusing. He called him that. Yatha madhukarastarshad rasam vindan tishtari tatha tvamapi tatraiva tatha naryeshu sauhridam. Tvamapi tathaiva is that you are like that honey bee who doesn't stay loyal to one flower. He sucks the honey out of one flower and moves. That's how you are. He compared him to that, and he called him disloyal to himself. That's abuse, isn't it? This is the reason why he left Ravana. It was a political decision. And lastly, Vibhishana says that Kalabhipannaha sidanti yatha valuka setavaha. Imagine you have built a bridge of sand. What happens to a bridge of sand? It succumbs, it falls down. And people's lives are not house of cards, they are house of sand. And when the ocean, that ocean of time, when it hits the shores, the entire house falls down. And I think that time has already come to you. So, tan marshayatu, please forgive me for anything that I have spoken which has hurt you. Why would he say all these things? If it was not a political decision, if he was not forced by the rules, by the Shastra itself, to leave an unjust king, he would have never spoken these words. Tan marshayatu yachoktam gurutvat hitam ichhata. You still are my guru. What are you saying? This is Vibhishana. This is the reason why people cannot understand the dharma sukshma in Vibhishana's character. And we must not forget that he is one of the Bhagavatas. Vyasam parisha shukashaunaka bhishmadalbhyan dhanyaniman parama bhagavatan smarami. In that shloka, Vibhishana's name is also mentioned. I forgot, unfortunately, the beginning of that shloka. Prahlada Narada Parashara Pundarika Vyasambarisha Shukashaunaka Bhishmadalbhyan Rukmanga Darjuna Vasishtha Vibhishanadi. See, Vibhishana is included as a Bhagavata. It is Dharmatma. Do you think it is easy to fall in the same category of this elite list of people, which includes the likes of Prahlada, Narada, Parashara? Can you imagine being taken in the same length as these stalwarts of Dharma? That shows what a great character Vibhishana was. And when the entire party of Rama, Sugrīva, Vibhishana, when they went to Ayodhya for Rama's coronation, at the end, you will see that Bharata and Vibhishana, they struck friendship very quickly. Like-minded people, they like each other very quickly. Vibhishana falls in that category of Dharmatma. A wonderful character. He says that you still are my guru. I still consider you as my guru. So whatever I have spoken, hitam ichhata, seeking only your welfare. I spoke all those words with nothing personal to gain. I had no other intention to say all those words. Atmanam sarvatha raksha. Protect thyself, protect yourself. Purim raksha, protect the city, protect the people. 3 words that Vibhishana said. And look at the order he said. This is personal. These words are personal. It clearly shows that his decision was entirely based on politics. I mean, not the kind of politics that we understand. It is based on dharma. Otherwise, he would have reversed the order. Protect the people, protect the city, protect yourself. That should have been the order if he was speaking as a minister, which he did. Did he not? He spoke in length about what is happening in state. He went in private to Ravana to narrate him what is going on in Lanka. He said that it's the foremost job of a king to protect his people. You are supposed to protect the people. So he had already narrated him, protect people, protect yourself, protect the nation, and then protect yourself. When he did not listen to these words, He did not even say that you need to be protected, because he knew that Ravana will take that as an insult. He only focused on protect the people, protect the nation. You won't find a greater patriot than Vibhishana. He's like Nambi Narayana. That great professor, what a great fellow. He's exactly like him. He did everything for his country. He did for the sake of the people of Lanka. He is the hero that the people of Lanka did not deserve. Vibhishana was that kind of a white knight. Vibhishana was that kind of a dark knight that people did not deserve, but yet they needed him. So that's why he's speaking all these words in a personal perspective. As a brother, he's speaking to him as a brother. So that's why he says that Atmanam Sarvatha Raksha, Purim Raksha, Rakshasan Raksha, Swastitestu. That's all. May all good things happen to you. Gamishyami, I am leaving Lanka. I am leaving right now. I'm not going to stand in front of your eyes. Okay. Sukhi bhava maya vina. Stay happy without me. No sarcasm involved here. No sarcasm at all. Sukhi bhava maya vina. And then Parantakalehi, Valmiki mentions it at the end of this chapter. He says that Nivaryamanasya maya hitaishina. No matter how much ever I tried to stop you from committing this mistake, Narochate te vachanam nishachara. Ravana, my words do not even get into your mind, get into your head. Parantakale. When the time is near, Gatayusho naraha. The people who are about to die, Hitanna grindhanti suhridbhiriritam. They won't consider the good advice, the wise advice of their friends. That's what happens. This is very natural. It means that you are soon going to perish. I wish you good luck. And he leaves. So this ends one part of the story. One part of the story. Now, the second part involves Vibhishana moving to Rama's party, moving towards Rama's party. I think there was a question here. Sorry, I missed that question. Then why didn't Bhishma or Drona abandon Duryodhana, even if they vowed loyalty to the throne, or are they like Kumbhakarna? No. They are not exactly like, they are not a replica of Kumbhakarna. Their loyalty was a bit complicated loyalty, if I can use that kind of a word. They remained loyal to the throne, and they wanted to protect the throne. And when you are loyal to the throne, it's a very delicate matter, isn't it? We see that in the case of Amatya Rakshasa and Navanandas. The same thing happened. And Chanakya, what a great fellow he was. He knew Dharma Sukshmas. He could have easily been the minister for Chandragupta Maurya, but he did not wish to be his minister. He installed Chandragupta Maurya on the throne. He took him on the throne. He placed him on the throne. But he did not remain there to serve him as his minister. His job was done. That's how a true yogi will be. That's how a true Brahmagyani will be. He's not attached to anything, you see. But he ensured that the kingdom should stay in the rightful hands. He should be guided. Chandragupta Maurya should be guided by the right people. That's why he made all the efforts that he could to bring Amatya Rakshasa on board again, where he uses the same logic. He says that your loyalty belongs to the throne, to the kingdom of this people, of this, to this kingdom, and not to a dynasty, not to any particular dynasty. It's a very delicate matter, I believe. So this is where Ramayana is very clear. It falls on the white part of black and white. It calls a spade a spade. It doesn't put any sort of doubts in people's mind. It's not ambiguous. Whereas Mahabharata is bit on the ambiguity side. It's a bit ambiguous because it gives us a shade of black and white. It's a mixture of black and white. It's the gray, 50 shades of gray. That kind of a thing. Perhaps Bhishma felt keeping his promise to his father is dharma. That might also be the reason, because he had already given his word, so that he shall protect the realm at all costs. So it's a very complicated issue. Protecting, if you have given your word, then what do you do? This is exactly where Vibhishana is outstanding. He makes a path-breaking decision. I wouldn't call it as a revolutionary decision, but it did take some courage to take this kind of a decision. That's what I believe. It's not easy to take this kind of a decision, because there was no guarantee for Vibhishana that where will he go? What if Rama does not entertain him? What if Rama does not accept him? That's the second part of today's discussion. He approaches, Nivedayatamam Kshipram Raghavaya Mahatmane Sarvaloka Sharanyaya Vibhishanam Upasthitam. Those people, they stopped Ravana. They stopped Vibhishana. Vibhishana, along with his four of his companions, four of his followers, he went to the other side of the ocean. Not this side of the ocean. You must remember that. On the other side of the ocean. So that clearly shows his intention. A point that needs to be duly noted. Your Honor, to Valmiki and other people and the respected jury members, the likes of you. If he was an opportunist, like our famous Karna from Mahabharata, he would have waited. He would have sought some refuge in some lonely place in outside Lanka and waited for Rama and his company to cross the ocean and then join them. He did not. He did not wait. That shows his conviction. That shows his confidence in Rama. That shows that he truly and really wants to be on Rama's side. He truly and really wants to be on Dharma's side. That defines Vibhishana's character. These are some of the subtle things that storytellers usually skip, usually miss. They don't put enough onus on these kind of things, and that's where the story of Ramayana suffers in the minds of people. Because it paints Vibhishana in a very shady way. No, you have to call a spade a spade. Speak the truth. Tell them how it happened, and don't try to put some doubts in the minds of people. We have to keep our story, our version, our experiences aside when we are narrating or when we are reading Ramayana. We have to take it, we have to understand, we have to comprehend it as it is, and not put our own tadka, vagarne to it. That's where people go wrong. Fine. Now comes the most important of important discussions that we find in Ramayana. One of the most brilliant chapters ever written by Valmiki. 6th Kanda, that is Yuddha Kanda, 17th Sarga. You go through that Sarga, you will find 17th and 18th, one of the beautifully narrated chapters in Ramayana. I mean, I genuinely wish that we would have time to go through each and every shloka of these two chapters, because these are gems, a pearl of chapters. Okay, anyway, moving on. So he came to that party, he came to that place where the army was resting, because they were still figuring out how to cross the ocean. Because remember that we had turned the story to Lanka. Now we have to come back to the shores of the Dakshina Samudra. They have reached the Dakshina Samudra, but they are yet to finalize a strategic plan on how to cross the ocean. But they are rested. He's keeping them in a disciplined way. This clearly shows the way Rama handled that army. See, even if you give a bunch of amateurs, if you are confident, if you are like Rama, then you can lead them. There's a famous line by Sir Alex Ferguson, a famous Manchester United football manager. He once famously remarked that, give me Zinedine Zidane, one player, and 11 wooden logs on the pitch, and I will still win the game. It shows that you need a person in whom you have complete trust. So just change that scenario. You have to trust in Rama. He is a great leader. He was a great leader. Sorry, no, he is a great leader. Oh, good. So he managed to keep the bunch of monkeys in discipline. So when he entered, there were some protocols. You will see the protocols here. They did not allow him to reach near Rama. It was like, applying in government offices. You apply this, you apply in one desk, it goes to some other desk, it moves. So likewise, he said that Vibhishana approached them and told them that please let Rama know that Vibhishana is here. And Sarvaloka Sharanyaya, he is a man in whom the entire world seeks refuge. And I am here seeking his refuge. Please let Rama know that Vibhishana is here seeking Rama's refuge. These people went. Sugrīva got to know about this news. See the protocol, how it works. The people whoever got this news, they directly approached. They did not go directly to Rama. They approached Sugrīva. And Sugrīva, when he got to know this, he could not control his anxiety. He became very anxious and says that Pravishta Shatru Sanyam hi Prapta Shatru Ratarkitaha Nihanyad Antaram Labdhva Uluko Vayasaniva. He is like an owl. Who? Vibhishana is like an owl who has entered the family of crows. And he might divide us. He might kill us. He might create a mutiny amongst ourselves. So we must not at any cost entertain Vibhishana. This is only the beginning of Sugriva's anxiety. Okay. Mantre, vyuhe, naye, chare, yukto bhavatum arhasi. He could be here for diplomatic reasons. He could be here to know our war strategies. He could be here to appease us, not to go against his brother, or he could simply be a spy, spying on us. Okay. So, Vanaranancha bhadrante, pareshancha parantapa. And these people, they are known to be doing all these kinds of things. I mean, the Rakshasas are famous for these kind of disguises and deceptions. So they easily deceive people. So it can happen to anyone. So he says that Antardhanagata hyete, in disguise. Antardhana means in disguise. They can kill anybody. Athava swayamevaisha chidramasadya buddhiman anupravishya vishvaste kadachit praharedapi. Or he might not be working for Ravana. What if there is a tussle for power in Lanka between two brothers? And he is here, like Julius Caesar, the Roman general. He claimed the throne by killing, by conquering, and going on conquests deeper into Europe. He brought Germania into the Roman kingdom, and people worshipped him. He could be that kind of a general, Vibhishana. He could be here to show the people, the army of his country, that he is capable of killing an enemy. So if he gets into our army, into our camp, he might kill us and claim the victory before the war has begun. See the implications. I mean, you cannot outrightly dismiss Sugriva's fear. Just because we know the backstory of Vibhishana, we think that he is being anxious. But imagine in the mind of Sugrīva, he is looking at Vibhishana for the first time. He appears to be Rakshasa. The name itself suggests Vibhishana. He looked terrorizing to people. That's why he is called as Vibhishana. Not once, There are so many instances when the entire, when some parts of the monkey army, the Vanara army, gets scared looking at Vibhishana. They ran away from battlefield several times, not once, several times. And it has been described by Valmiki. In several instances, they looked at Vibhishana and they got scared and they ran away. They thought that he's the Rakshasa, he has already entered our camp. He looked terrorizing. And it's very normal for Sugrīva. He recently has been crowned as the king of Kishkindha. It's his army that is at its stake. So it's obvious for Sugrīva to be worried. And then he speaks about some war strategies as well. A brilliant insight. You have to appreciate the genius of Valmiki. No other poet comes even closer to this level of understanding of war strategies. That's why I say that Yuddha Kandam is something that one needs to study. The political advisors, the army chiefs, all these people need to study Yuddha Kandam. What brilliant insights, I tell you. Okay. He says that there are certain power with whom we should shake hands, with whom we must have a kind of arrangement, a friendship, and understanding with them. Mitra Tavibalam. If it is your friend's army, then you can trust them. Or Maulabhritya Balam, an army that you have bought by giving money. And in Game of Thrones, there is this instance where Golden Company, there comes a band of army that is called as Golden Company, and they fight for the highest bidder. Whoever pays them their expected salary, they fight for them. You can trust them. Maulabhritya Balam. Look at the imagination, not imagination, look at the the genius of poet Valmiki here. Maulabhritya Balam. Sarvametad Balam Grahyam. You can always accept these two types of Balam. Balam here refers to army, Sainyam. Balam means Sainyam, not strength. Balam is army. But never ever Dvishad Balam. You can never ever get into a pact with your enemy army. That's a golden lesson. That's basic. War strategy 101, lesson number 1, chapter number 1. Never ever get into bed with your enemy army. As simple as that. He is from enemy side and we cannot trust him. So this is point number 3 that Sugrīva mentions. Prakritya Rakshaso Hyesha. 4th one. He is a Rakshasa. Basically, he is a Rakshasa. Okay. And then Amitrasya. Amitrasya arthat tava Amitrasya. Your enemy's brother. The points that he's mentioning, he's underlining. He is a Rakshasa. So you should always must be beware of those Rakshasas. And he is the brother of your enemy, of your sworn enemy. Agatascharipu Sakshat. And he has approached you all by himself and all of a sudden, no prior notice, nothing at all. He is knocking on our doors. Okay. Chaturbhis Saharakshobhi. And he has come with four of his men as well. So he comes to a conclusion. He ends his first round of words, first round of counsel, Sugrīva, to Rāma, saying that Tasyaham nigraham manye kshamam kshamavatam varam. We must imprison him. We must take him into prison. Okay. Or prahartum maya chan. He can also use maya vidya to destroy us. Therefore, vadhyatam esha tivrena vadhyatam. Kill him. That's much better. To be on the safer side, let us not imprison him. Vadhyatam. Or tivrena dandena. Or let us impose some severe punishment to him so that he should not have any life left after this punishment. Let us do something. Let us not entertain or let us not welcome Vibhishana to our camp. Sugrīvasya tu tadvakyam shrutva Ramo Mahabalaha. Rama listened to him, calm and composed. Samudraiva gambhirya. That's what Valmiki calls Rama. And never ever, you will never find Rama anxious at any given point of time. Very calm and composed. He looked at all the other counselors, the important members, war council. He calls upon them. Suhridam arthakrichreshu. Look at the words of Rama. Arthakrichreshu. Arthakrichra here refers to the things that are difficult to decide, where decision making is a tough job. In this scenario, in these kind of scenarios, what should a wise man do? He should always heed the advice. He should always seek the counsel of others. Therefore, I seek your advice. I seek your judicious counsel, Rama. Just compare and contrast the way both of them conducted their council meetings. Now, this is how you conduct a council meeting. He said, I am open to listening to your counsel. Please go ahead. And then they all were happy because they were called by them and called by Rama himself. They say that Ajñātam nāstite kinchite. It's not like you don't know anything. You know plenty of things, Rama. And we are very honored that you want to consider our opinions. And then one by one, they start to give out their suggestions. Tasmad ekaika shastavat bruvantu sachivastava. He says, Rama says that I want to give each and every one of your ministers a fair chance to table their opinion. I want to listen to their opinions. I want to listen to their suggestions. First and foremost, Angada. He holds the highest rank. You must not forget that, because he is next to the throne. No? So he holds the highest rank. It's not based on age. It's based on the position. He says that because he has come from the enemy side, Shatros Sakashat Sampraptaha. Therefore, we must examine him. We must test him. We must put him through some rigorous tests. Put him in a cell and ask questions to him. Okay. Vishvāsaniya sahasa nakartavyo Vibhishana. We must not blindly trust Vibhishana. We must certainly test him. Very diplomatic. He's like, Adgode Mildeepa. He's like, he's not saying in a very convincing note like his Chikkappa did. We must kill Vibhishana. We must not accept Vibhishana. No. And not like that. And neither is he saying that he should be accepted. He's saying that we must examine him. See the art of diplomacy, how to speak in a council meeting, especially in a war council meeting. When you are put on the spotlight, this is how you speak. So this was Angada. And then Sharabha speaks. Sharabha happens to be this Sugrīva's father-in-law, a wise old man. He says that Chipramasmin Naravyagra Charaf Pratividhiyatam. Let us put some of our best spies on him, some of our best men to watch Vibhishana. There is no time, but an old man. He does not like to whine and complain. He wants to come up with a solution. He's better than Angada. To prove that he's better than Angada, he comes up with a solution. Examine to theek hai. Well, how will you examine him? Angada did not come up with any solid solution. But Sharabha, he says that let us put some of our best men as spies behind him. And then that's how we parikshanam kartum shakyate. That's how we will examine Vibhishana. And then Jambavan speaks. You must be very excited. As a reader, I was excited, and I get excited every time because Jambavan has proven his worth to be a very good advisor, isn't it? Previously as well, we have seen Jambavan guiding young men in the right path. So it is very interesting to know what is Jambavan's take on Vibhishana's induction. So he says that Baddhavairatcha papacha Rakshasendra Vibhishanaha Adesha Kale Sampraptaha Sarvatha Shankyatāmayam. Much more diplomatic than Angada. He's like that, that fine hair that we find in butter. Sorry, that's not a good example, but you understood how finely he's speaking. So he has come to us at a wrong time and a wrong place. So he must be questioned. That's all he said. Then Pricyatam Madhurenayam. He said that we must ask him politely that why is he here? And then depending upon the way he answers, Vibhishana answers, we may determine that whether he is fit enough to join our camp or he is not. That's much better than what Angada and Sharabha advised. And later on, finally, Hanūmān speaks. Nabhavantam Matishreshtham, he speaks to Rama. You are a Matishrestha. You are the greatest. You are the wisest of all. And Atishayayitum Shakto Brihaspatirapi Bruvan. Even if Sakshat Brihaspati, the Deva Guru, even if he starts to speak, he cannot outspeak you. That's you, my dear king, my dear Rama. But all the ministers, their counsel, I have heard them very carefully. Now, this is my observation. When you are asked to speak at the end, this is how you speak. When you are asked to speak in any meeting at the end, you have to cover all the points that already has been spoken, not merely say that whatever I wanted to speak, it has already been told by people. We know that. We know that it is a fact. But how do you summarize it? What is the takeaway points? That's why he who speaks at the end in any meeting has a huge responsibility. See, idiots always speak first. Wise men speak at the end of the discussion. Okay, so he who speaks at the end must have the sight, the view, the insight into each and every person's point of view. Otherwise, what is the use of asking you to speak at the end? Okay, fine. He says that I find some discrepancies in the advices, in the counsel given by our judicious, sagacious ministers. Look at the words. It says that Arthanartha Nimittam hi yaduktam sachivaistava tatra dosham pravashyami. It says that I find a small mistake here. Yaduktam kriya na hyupapadyate. What is the reason? How dare you say that you find a mistake in our counsel? Kriya na hyupapadyate. In all of your suggestions, there is no room for solution. You have simply stated the fact in a twisted way. That's all. There is no solid solution from any of you. He analyzes that, further analyzes if a person is praised by Rama, then गांठ बांध के हमको ये याद कर लेना चाहिए कि whatever he speaks, it is Vedavakyam, it is equal to Vedavakyam. Hanūmān is of that person, is of that level. He says that, see, without including him in our camp, we will never be able to know whether he is with good intentions or bad intentions. How do you examine, how do you determine that he is with good intentions or bad intentions? We need to stay with him, we need to observe him, and even for observation, we have to keep him. So he said that examine him, Angada. See that? Where is the kriya? Where is the action? No action. You simply said he must be examined. This is how meetings happen. There are no Hanūmāns in any meeting, in any committee. Only likes of Angada, Jambavan, Sharabha. The world is filled with only the committees that are filled with people like them. And then Sahasa Viniyogopi Doshavan Pratibhatimi. If we, there are no leaders like Rama, so that is out of question. No Rama. Of course, there is no leader like Rama. And then he says that Sahasa Viniyogopi Doshavan Pratibhatimi. So if we include him suddenly, even that is wrong. And Charapranihitam yuktam yeduktam sachivaistava. The second one, Sharabha said that we must send our best men on him to keep an eye. That is, arthasya sambhava tatra karanam nopapadyate. It is not feasible. Where will you send him? He is already on our door, knocking on our door. He is already on our doorstep. Where will you send our best man on him? So it is not practically possible. And then Jambavan said, Adesha kale sampraptaha. We must not forget that he has come to us at a wrong place and a wrong time, or not even wrong, unexpected place and unexpected time. So that creates a sense of doubt in your mind, which is said, Vivaksha tatra me stiyam. And I want to say something on this. I feel that I am the only one qualified to speak, which he did not say that. I mean, I'm just making it to, I'm just binding that in this way, but Hanūmān did not say that I am the capable one to speak on this matter or any such things. Yesha deshascha kalascha bhavatiha yatha tatha. May it be expected time or unexpected time, right place, wrong time, wrong place. Be may howsoever it is. It doesn't matter to us. Why? Purushat purusham prapya tatha dosha gunavapi. See, dosha and guna are subjective, and it differs from person to person. Likewise, time and place differs from place to place or time to time. So we cannot say that this is the right time and this is the wrong time. How critically has he responded to Jambavan's advice, Jambavan's counsel? It's brilliant. And every time I read, I feel goosebumps. You don't make such counselors anymore. Okay, fine, moving on. This could also be a possibility. What could be possibility? Dauratmim Ravane Drishtva. He must have understood the cruelty of Ravana. Vikramancha tathatvayi. He must have also understood your courage and your strength, your valor, your power. Yuktam agamanam yatra. And that's why he is here. You always bet on the winning horse, isn't it? You don't want to end up in the losing side. He must have understood that Ravana is cruel, his end is near. That's why he must have come here. It could also be a possibility, right? Practically, it is also a possibility. And Ajnata Rupaih Purushaihi Sarajan Prichadamiti. We must definitely question him. That's what Jambavan said. In one way or the other, we must question him. He says that Yaduktamatra me preksha kachidasti samikshita. He says that this might create a rift between us, and this might create a rift in the minds of a potential partner. What an insight by Hanūmān. He says that Prichyamano Vishanketa. If we question him, if we not even question, if we interrogate him, then it creates doubt in his mind. Tatra mitram pradushyeta. And a potential partner will go away. Nobody wants to be interrogated. Nobody likes to be interrogated. And mithya prishtam sukhagatam. And his purpose might not be served. Ashakyam sahasa rajan bhavo bodhum parasyavai. These are the words of Ingitagnya. A man who was hailed by Rama as Ingitagnya says that sahasa, at the earliest, it is impossible. Ashakyam, it is impossible to understand a man's motive just by looking at him instantly. You can instantly prepare noodles. You can instantly make coffee, but you cannot instantly make out what a man is or what his motives are. I'm not saying this. The decision has been passed by Hanūmān. If Hanūmān says this, then it must be true. Okay. Antarena swarair bhinnaihi naipunyam pasyatam bhrusham. It's very clever. It's very impossible unless we have this. There is a way to understand a man instantly. Okay. This is science. This is Valmiki, and this is Ramayana for you. How do you know that? Swarair bhinnaihi. On his tone. The way they speak, the kind of words they use, the letters they use. It's brilliant. And this is exactly the line that convinced me that no matter what other scholars will ever tell me in my life, I can definitely work on samvadas. This was the line that absolutely convinced me. After the conversation between Rama, Hanūmān and Sīta, that's where, Ankuritaha, that's where it blossomed, that's where it sprouted, and here it got convinced, substantiated. Swarair bhinnai. If you remember in Natya Shastra, Satvika Abhinaya, there are 8 types of Satvika Abhinaya, Bharata says, and one of the Satvika Abhinaya is Swarabhangaha. Change the tone. Why? Because changing the tone is an important aspect in understanding a man's motive. Hanūmān says this. Okay. And the way he has spoken his words, he has not minced his words, has not mixed his words. There is no ambiguity in his words. Natvasya bruvato jatu lakshyate dushtabhavata. What a decision. What a decision. This is conclusive. This is how you speak. So far, by the words of Vibhishana, the words that he has spoken, it is impossible. I do not find any dosha, any mistake in his motive. And also look at his face. Prasannam vadananjapi. His face is pleasant, prasannam. Now, this is another concept that has gone away from our people's mind, from our sampradaya, from our country. Prasannam, prasannata is gone. Look at Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna says. Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhif paryavatishthati. Prasada is prasannata. Prasadastu prasannata. Amarakosha says that. What is prasannata? Prasannata is prasada. And not that sakra pongal that we get in Dhanurmasam in temples. What happens by its consumption? That is prasada. Not sakra pongal. What happens after we consume it? That is prasada. What happens when we take that pushpam and place it on our head? What happens afterwards is prasada. Because this was the means to achieve that pleasantness, achieve that prasannata. This is also called as prasannata. This is also called as prasada. Prasada is the end result, not the means itself, not only the means. And if you remember, before the beginning of any work, what is that? Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivaranam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayed. Tell me, how do you imagine Prasannavadanam? Nobody knows how to imagine Prasannavadanam because they have not experienced Prasannata. It's not something that you imagine. It is something that you see within yourself. That is Prasannavadanam. Sarva Vighnopashantai. Prasannam vadanam chati tasman me nasti samshayaha. Therefore, I am 100% sure that his motive is absolutely clear. He is not here to deceive us. He is not here to hurt us. He is not here to create mutiny amongst us. What a decision. Nachas ashankitamatihi. Then how is he? Ashankitamatihi. He is very clear in what he wants, Vibhishana. He wants to be on the side of dharma. Ashankitamatihi. Swasthaha. He knows what he is. That is swasthaha. Swasmin tishtati is nashataha. He is not a twisted one. He is not a crooked one. Nachasya dushtavagasti. He doesn't speak badly, or wrongly, or incorrectly. Tasman me nasti samshayaha. Look how he is substantiating his claim. How many reasons has he given? Countless. I lost the count. This is how you speak. You claim one, and this is called as upapatti. This is the same way all the Shastras are built. You observe all the Shastras. Everything is in Ramayana. This is called as upapatti. You claim something and then you substantiate it. Another brilliant shloka. He says that Akaras chhadyamanopi, outer appearance. Akara is outer appearance. Chhadyamanopi, even if it tries to conceal, nashakyo viniguhitum. It is impossible to conceal. Conceal what? Baladhi vibrunotyeva. It will be known to people. What? Bhavamantargatam nranam. the motive of a man cannot be hidden from the world for long. No matter how his appearance is, no man's appearance can ever conceal his motive. This is Ramayana for you. Deshakalopapanancha karyam karyavidamvara sabhalam kurute kshipram prayogena abhisamhita. Therefore, he says that he concludes, look at the conclusion. Udyogam tava samprekshya. He must have seen your work. He must have been a fan of your work. Okay. What kind of work? Vālinancha hatam shrutva Sugrīvancha abhishechitam. Right. You killed Vālī and then you placed his brother Sugrīva on the throne. He must have heard the news about all these things. Okay. Rajyam prarthayamanastu buddhipurvamiha gataha. So he must have come here seeking his kingdom. So he's seeking that kingdom from you with your help. He wants to dethrone Ravana and claim the throne of Lanka for himself. Yatha Shakti Mayoktanto Rakshasasya Arjavam Prati. His Rujuta, his straightforwardness, Vibhishana's straightforwardness has been presented to you, my lord, to the best of my abilities. Yatha Shakti. This is how you make a concluding remark. And what can we say? Pramanam tvamhi sheshasya shrutva buddhimatamra. The decision is in your hand. I have only presented my view, and this is my view. I have substantiated it. The rest is left to you. And then Rama concludes again. He puts this motion for a vote. Okay, and that this is I think we can finish this. We can take questions later. What questions will be there? We'll finish this. One of the most iconic episodes in Ramayana. This one. Shrotumichhami tat sarvam. He said that I want to hear your absolute voice now. So mitra bhavena sampraptam natyajeyam kathanchana. See, this is my view. This is my point of view. Rama says that he who ever approaches me in friendship, I shall not leave him. I shall not refuse him. I shall not decline him. I shall not send him back. Dosho yadyapi tasya syat. Even if he has committed several mistakes, it doesn't matter. Sugrīva had only spoken before this meeting began, isn't it? Round 2 of Sugrīva's words. Prepare yourselves for some gold standard sarcasm. Sadushtova pyadushtova. He said no, that he is not dushta. He is not a corrupt one. He is not a crooked one. Hanūmān said. Now Sugrīva wants to override Hanūmān's counsel. That's why he means that it doesn't matter whether he is corrupted or not corrupted. It doesn't matter whether he is crooked or straightforward. Dushtova pyadushtova. Okay. Kimesha Rajani Idrisham Vyasanam Praptam Bhrataram Yaf Parityajet. He who leaves his own brother, at a time of such a crisis, how can you ever trust a man who left his own brother at the time of crisis? Sugrīva's point, absolutely valid, isn't it? Vānaradhipater vakyam shrutva sarvanudikshatu. Rama said, वाह आज बहुत फुदक क्रिया है, typical Bihari tone. He said that, वाह Sugrīva, ईषत्स्मयमानस्तु Valmiki. Oh my God, what line. There was not a frown on his face. It was not a broad smile. He was not laughing, but ईषत्स्मयमानस्तु. Was a hint of smile on Rama's face. He says that itiho vachaka kuchstho vakyam satya parakramaha. Anadhitya cha shastrani. He who has not read shastras and he who has never heeded to the advices of wise men, they are not able to come up with these kind of suggestions. The way Sugrīva has suggested, the point that he has mentioned is very valid. It's not easy for everybody to speak what Sugrīva has said. Okay. Kintu asti sukshmataram kinchit. There is something more subtle here. Okay. Yathatra pratibhati ma arthat ma, which means I can understand it, I can comprehend that, I can see that, I can sense that, I can feel that there is something very subtle that we are missing out here. But I understand that, I know that. And then he says that not only it's my gut feeling, and I can substantiate it as well. He says that Amitraha tatkulinascha pratideshyascha kirtitaha vyasaneshu prahartaraha tasmadaya mihagataha. There are several kind of people that surround the king. There are people who are very close to them. There are people who only look up for the mistakes of a king. And then there are people who are hurt by the king. So there are several kinds of these kind of people. And whatever dosha, whatever mistakes that you people have counted in Vibhishana, there is what do you call it, precedence. There is a precedence in Shastra for that. Nate vayam navayam tatkulinascha. See, we do not belong to Ravana's family. We are not in his family. So it could be a possibility that people abandon their own sibling for a cousin, for someone from their own family. We are not his family. This is how you negate, this is how you conduct a discussion. Okay. And Rajyakankshi cha Rakshasaha, and he seeks the kingdom for himself. And therefore, Tasmad Grahyo Vibhishana. Therefore, we must take Vibhishana in. Rama is coming to his conclusion now. Okay. And he could have been insulted. He could have been threatened for his life. They must have threatened him that we will kill you, we will behead you. That's why he is here. Tasmad Grahyo Vibhishana. These two things must be sufficient, isn't it? The greatest ever sarcastic comment. You remember that when he sent Lakshmana with a message, Nasasankuchitah panthaha yena Vālī hato gataha samaye tishtha Sugrīva ma Vālī pathamanvagaha. Reminder. I should not say a gentle reminder. Saraswati ji is not here today, but not a gentle reminder, a reminder. But this, it overpowers that statement as well. Nasarve bhratarastata bhavanti bharatopamaha. Sugrīva, not all brothers in this world are like Bharata. Lakshmana was there, right beside him. And still, he says that Nasarve bhratarastata bhavanti bharatopamaha. Not all brothers in this world are like Bharata. Madvidhava pituh putraha. Nobody can be as good as me, as a son to their father. Nobody equivalent to me when it comes to son and father relationship. The confidence that Rama has, that nobody can beat him when it comes to Pitruvakya Paripalanam. Can we ever claim this kind of a thing in our life? I don't think so. It's not just he's passing a judgment on someone else. He has that confidence. That's why he's passing that judgment. And there is no brother who is equivalent to Bharata. There is no son equivalent to me. And Suhridova Bhavadvidha. And there are no friends equivalent to you. Which means, so this is Abhideyartha. This is reading the lines. Now let us go beyond the lines. What Rama means here. You are a good friend, but a terrible brother. Okay. You do not have the moral value to speak about brotherhood. The comment that you made, the mistake that you pointed out, that what kind of a brother abandons his own brother at the time of crisis. It was you who came crawling to me asking to kill Vālī, isn't it? You eliminated Vālī with my help. And you speak of brotherhood. And he could not say this out loud. Why? Because it would insult Sugrīva. I want you to draw the comparison between how Ravana insulted his brother Vibhishana in front of everyone and how Rama so diligently, so sophisticatedly managed the situation and yet delivered the message right into the heart of Sugrīva. Na sarve bhratarastata bhavanti bharatopamaha. Let this serve as a reminder. People these days go on a bike trip for 500 kilometers and call themselves as brothers. Shoot those idiots, I tell you. That's not how brotherhood is remembered. This is the line that we need to remember. Na sarve bhratarastata bhavanti bharatopamaha. What a great brother Bharata was. Lakshmana did not take any offense in it. Why? Because there comes an instance in Yuddhakandam where Rama was ready to give up the entire war. Shakya Sīta samanari martyaloke vijinvata. You can find another Sita in this world if you have that patience to find. You can find another Sita in this world. Na Lakshmana samo bhrata sachiva samparayikaha. You cannot find another advisor, another confidant, another brother like Lakshmana. His credits are still due. Okay. But he still remembers Bharata very fondly. Not everybody is as good as Bharata when it comes to brotherhood. And the confidence, madvidha vapituf putraha. How much should I stress on this point? I don't know. It makes me emotional every time I talk about this shloka. What a wonderful insight it shows, the confidence that was in Rama when he made this claim. Okay. But Sugrīva was in no mood to understand. He is, after all, a monkey, just like us. Maybe this is where Charles Darwin's theory holds true, I guess. He did not understand. He did not even understand the sarcastic comment made by Rama. He still says that tasyaham nigraham manye kshamam kshamotamara. We should, imprison him. We should kill him. We should punish him. We should not accept him. Enough is enough. Rama narrates a small story. He says that a pigeon once was approached by its enemy towards Kanvaputra. His name was Kandu. Okay, and he gave refuge to him. Okay, whenever in the history of mankind, people or creatures or anybody who has ever sought refuge in you, you should always provide refuge. You should not say no to people who seek refuge. This puts to bed all the controversies, all the discussions, all the theories that happened over the years in several instances about the refugee situation in during difficult times in other parts of the world. Okay. Yeah. Arif pranan pari artova idiva druptaha. Look at Rama's decision. Yeah, I'm going to take 2 more minutes and end this, because there is one more line that should be, that's how you end it. Elevation, that's how you end it. He says that artova idiva druptaha. Whether he is weakened, whether he approaches you as a weak fellow, or whether he approaches you with pride, it doesn't matter. Paresham sharanangataha. If he has approached you for help, arif pranan parityajya rakshitavyah kritatmana. He must always be protected. Sharanagata vatsala. This is the reason why he is called as Sharanagata vatsala. Look at Ajamila. That's Sharanagati. When you do that Sharanagati, he will melt down. He says, Sachet bhayadva, mohadva, whether he is misguided, whether he is scared, or whether he is willingly come to us. If we do not protect those who seek refuge under us, then he will suffer. He will go to Naraka. He will fall down. Evantosho mahanatra prapannana marakshane. Prapannana marakshane. Sharanagatana. Those who have sought refuge. If we don't protect them, if we fail to protect them, then it is mahan dosha. It's a huge mistake. I'm not ready to do that. Sakrideva prapannaya. Only once in their entire life, if they come to me, if they approach me, tavasmi chayachate. If they beg me, tavasmi, Prabho, I am yours. If they surrender to me only once in their entire life, abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadamyetad vratam mama. I shall give them refuge. I shall give them abhaya. And this is my vrata. Remember, Dridha Vrataha. In the initial chapter, the first chapter, Valmiki had asked this question. Is there Konvasmin Sampratam Loke? Is there any man who is Dridha Vrataha? This is Dridha Vrata. And then he says to Sugrīva, Anayainam Harishrestha Dattamasya Bhayam Maya. Anayainam, bring him in, Harishrestha. Sugrīva, you are going to bring him in. I have given him abhaya. I have given him refuge. Okay. Vibhishano va Sugrīva yadi va Ravana swayam. Kya baat kar rahe ho? Not only Vibhishana, even if Ravana comes and apologizes to me, if he surrenders to me, I shall grant him refuge. This is Rama. This is what defines Rama. And we are the luckiest ones to be breathing the same air that Rama did, walking the same land that Rama did. What a great fellow he was. This is tolerance. The definition of tolerance is Rama. The definition of Vrata is Rama. Refuge, Sharanagata Vatsala. This is Rama. Okay, that ends today's discussion. If you have any questions, we will take a couple of questions. Does Lord Krishna also make? Yes, he does. He does make. Ananyas chintayanto man yejanah paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogkshemam bhamyam sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja ahantva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. See, these people, they have similarity, because only the likes of Rama and Krishna can give us that kind of an assurance. I mean, every time I talk of this incident, I go through that shloka. Anayainam harishrestha dattamasya bhayam maya vibhishano va Sugrīva yadiva Ravana swayam. He had that much of confidence when he said that yadiva Ravana swayam. Even if Ravana surrenders to me, I shall grant him refuge. You show me one person who has this kind of kindness, this kind of compassion, this kind of courage to say this to their sworn enemy. People talk of compassion. There are many people who claim to be compassionate, hugging the people all across the world. There are some people who do that. The hugging lady, I know, but that's just an imitation. That's all. We can never reach the heights of Rama when he claims that abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadamyetad vratam mama. Not just to anybody. Sakrideva prapannaya. Only once. Sakrit means only once. Tavasmiti chayarthat. And Arjuna did surrender to Krishna when he said that Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapanna. These are the words in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. Okay, fine. And then there is another question. Was Vibhishana in the vicinity during this meeting? No. He was kept at a fair distance. He was not allowed in the council meeting yet because he was not a member of this council. Is the word Kakataliya related to Shakuna Shastra? Yes, it is. Kaka gamanamiva tala patanamiva. Tala is a fruit. Okay. So as the crow passed over the tree, the tala phalam fell down. So that is called as Kakataliyam. is being fierce and attractive, Gambhiryam. We can paint it like this, but it would not be a complete picture. I tell you, I can tell you that it's not a thorough image, a thorough painting of Gambhiryam. Somewhere close to it. That's all. Why Deepam is more pure than electric bulb? Because it represents, it reminds of that great light. Deepa represents and reminds of that great light. Therefore, it is pure. Electric bulb only reminds of Thomas Alva Edison and his tussle with Nikola Tesla. Two men without remembering whom we can survive. But without remembering the Atma Jnanam, we cannot survive. So therefore, Deepa outscores light bulb, I guess. Is the eternal bliss Satvikam, or is it more than that? It is beyond Satvikam. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. The entire Veda is only Trigunatmaka. Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. We should rise above the Trigunas. Okay. If Agni is ignited due to mantra, then why need of particular twigs is prescribed? Because to be practically honest, practically to keep it burning, you need that. There was no question of Agni Sthapanam every time. That's a very recently done theory. Agni was supposed to be in every Trivarnika's house, maintained throughout the year until they are dead. For all Trivarnikas, I'm not saying only Brahmanas, Trivarnikas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. They are supposed to keep fire in their place. And it's not like the Western concept where they face severe cold. That's why they keep the fire burning in their home. Not that kind of a fire. This is, Tretagni, Garhapatya, Ahavaniya, Dakshina. These are the Agnis that a Grihastha needs to keep. Even for a Brahmachari, you see, he needs to be doing that Pratas Samidhadhanam and Sayam Samidhadhanam. How many people do that? Nobody does that. Okay. And a Grihastha is supposed to do Upasanam every day. What Grihastha does Upasanam every day? For Upasanam, in order to do Upasanam, he needs to have Agni. That is called as Nityagnihotram. Now we consider them as demigods. It's not being so great. It's common sense. We are supposed to worship fire every day, non-stop. And that fire should not go out. That's all, as simple as that. There is no kiritam for that. You're simply doing your duty. Very good. 10 out of 10 for you, for that matter of fact. That doesn't make you a great Lord. You are simply following what needs to be followed. So Agni is supposed to be there all the time. A life without Agni is not life here. Simple. Okay. Out of context question, how did Rama left his body? That will be answered. That will be answered in the Uttarakanda. He disappeared in the waters of Sarayu. To answer it right away, he disappeared in the Sarayu. That's how Uttarakanda ends. That's how Ramayana ends. Sir, why Ravana did not ask advice of Shukracharya? He did not ask him. He never considered him as his guru. So, see, we are talking about Ravana, who happens to be the great grandson of Pitamaha Brahma. The head weight that he carried, this fellow, he belonged to the family of Prajapati. Okay. We were not able to cover all the 1000 shlokas today, but the most important part of Yuddhakandam. It's one of the turning events in Yuddhakandam. And it is these kind of episodes that actually put that image firmly in our mind. That's why I took this in this way. You don't have to worry. I will finish the story. All shlokas, the summary of the story to be narrated is my responsibility. You don't have to worry. Oh, today he only said about 100 shlokas. Don't worry. Shlokas will be covered. The idea is to get that essence of the story. Okay. So if there are no more questions.
Yes, sir. We thank you very much for all your teachings. Maybe at some time we can take the history of Ravana, because he is also Rakshas Jati, then we also say he's Brahman. Maybe little bit, a few minutes if we can spend time about Ravana's
answer. It is a part of Uttarakandam. In the beginning of Uttarakandam, the entire history of Ravana will be told.
Yeah, so we on one hand we say Brahman, at the same time we also say Adharma. So there is a lot of dichotomy and conflict. Actually.
Correct. We will definitely. It is going to come. It's very much a part of Ramayana. So we will definitely deal with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is Meru a yogic symbol, or is it also be seen in materialistic world? Right now, nobody has located where Meru Parvata is. That backbone is called as Merudanda. So that could very much well be the yogic interpretation of Meru Parvata. And it is also one of the divine Parvatas. Meru Sumerur Hemadrihi Ratnasanus Suralayaha. So in these 5 important Parvatas, Meru is also counted. So it is divine. We don't have the exact location of that Parvata. As we have for Himalayas, we don't have that. That's what I meant. Okay. If there are no more questions, again, I think we can conclude the session here. So thank you very much. We will meet in the next week. I hope it is not a trouble for a single adharma in a nation leads to its downfall. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. No doubt about it. Okay. So hopefully we can meet next week. I know it is Sankranti, it's a festival. I know there could be some trouble for you people to join in on that day. I sincerely hope that we can have at least a full, if not full house, at least the regulars, the usuals for next week, because the coming week is a bit difficult for me. So therefore, I am actually making this a sincere request to all of you, if you could make to the next week. I know it's a festival and there will be plenty of things going on at home. Still, if you could make out some time, it would be wonderful. So we will all see and meet in the next week. So thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.